And I know, so this is something I was thinking about, because I know, so like you said, when you were younger, your mother was a librarian and your father was a coach. And I know from listening to the podcast how you said in Hungary, there's a lot of Olympic athletes around you. So you were in an environment that, you know, you always wanted to strive for 100% and be the best. So you had that environment around you, and that kind of gave you the motivation to, you know, do the work that you need to do. But the question I have, David, is that environment helped cultivate your mindset of like growth and personal development and always striving for the best because it was all around you. What advice do you have, or how does someone who hasn't had that environment or doesn't have that environment around them start shifting their mindset of one to personal growth and development and aiming for the best?
Yeah, definitely. Again, I can't claim everything to my environment because obviously might be some certain things done about genetics or in general. I'm very fascinated and interested in this topic. I did learn this at university as well. And you know, there are also many different events which are shaping your future. Not to tell, I was born in a time when Hungary transitioned from communism to capitalism with all the successes and failures at the same time. Not to mention, I have family in Germany, you know, so I got an influence from them. Also, I have by the age of my father, who is turning 86, is like for many people in the same age like me, is their grandfather, right? So definitely, I mean, he was alive during the Second World War. He took part of the revolution against the Soviets. So his life experience and all the values he brought from there would definitely had an extremely huge impact on me. So yeah, I'm very blessed and grateful for the family I have, and I know that it's not common sense around the world. Unfortunately, not everyone has such a great family. But I would say that as much as it was a blessing, also certain things in Hungary were not one, which is people were very passive. We had this very ambiguous society. So yeah, we were very good at sports, but for instance, in certain like we have this very interesting thing, like let's compare Hungary with Austria. Like we are around the same size. We used to be the same country before. And in 2012, what happened that we won like 8 gold medals in London, 8 gold medals, 6 silver and 3 bronze. I'm 99% sure I'm right. And the Austrians, which have the same population like us, and their GDP per capita is around twice as much as Hungary's or were back then, they won 0 medals, 0. And even the head of the Olympic Committee of the Austrians were freaking out and said, we never ever send tourists against to Olympic Games. You come here to compete, right? So if you look at this, Hungary was like way ahead, like really, we won 17 medals, they won 0. But at the same time, if you compare the data of how long Hungarians live and how long Austrians live, it was a significant edge for them. And also, if you look at the data, how many of the Austrians between the age of 50 to 60 worked out, and how many of Hungarians, they were like 3 times more. You know, so we had this bit of an extreme environment that because we have such a great athletes, it didn't mean that, for instance, our population was healthy. They had like still many people smoking, still many people drinking. And because we were coming out of socialism, they had this many people had this passive mindset, you know, oh, things are happening to me. I don't have influence. I never forget that when I was running, so I took extra workouts. There was a time when I was really on kickboxing, and that was like when I was 14, that was 2001. And I remember that when I went for a walk outside of the gym, people were looking at like, what the hell is he doing? They didn't understand like what I was doing. They thought this guy is stupid. Like, what is in the winter? It was icy, it was cold. They did old people like, what the hell is he doing? They were like, you know, so that was 20 years ago. Unfortunately, it changed a lot. So I would say that, yeah, I think I was at the right place at the right time, but that's not black and white either. I would say that if someone doesn't have the right environment, you need to create it. We have all of these studies. I don't have to be the wise guy to say, because there were many way more wiser people before me who had concluded that your peer group and your environment is probably the most important thing. I mean, unless you have some, you know, serious diseases or a terrible shock in your life, but your peer group is the most important. And that's why, going back to Keith Ferraz, why he is amazing. And for instance, authentic networking or his book, Never Eat Alone, is amazing because he's teaching you how to create it if you don't have it. And he had a very similar story, you know, that he was growing up in a blue collar family. And just that the father had the drive, but didn't have the money, made him to end up in Yale and Harvard Business School. And basically he shared all the details about relationship action plans, about how to be generous, you know, we show how to be assertive, how to be audacious, as he says, you know, to lead to success. So definitely I would say that, and Mindvalley is also a very, very good example and the proof, you know, that the right environment is crucial. It's both your peer group and also your home where you live. And again, it doesn't mean you have to be in a high-end place, but put things in order, you know, how you start your day, if you are committed to what you do, to stick with it, and again, friends and collaborators. I really believe no one can do it alone, and I'm saying it as a former athlete. I was in an individual sport, you know, we didn't have team competitions in full contact kickboxing. At the same time, I would be nowhere without my teammates, you know, because they pushed me, you know, they put other standards, and that's something fascinating with Mindvalley as well. And I have a bit of a deja vu feeling, you know, even though if it's a very different environment, but in Mindvalley, like literally everyone is the most important is besides contribution is transformation. So I really like that I get to into an environment where I got challenged as well. Like, you know, I'm so good at personal development, and I look at someone like, okay, yeah, and you know, it's important, and this is what I noticed when I came to Southeast Asia, both in Singapore and Malaysia. You know, when, for instance, sports is not that strong or very far from where is it in Europe, and then you have to have your standards. And if you grew up in that environment, and it doesn't have to be about sports, it has to be professional life. It has all aspects of life, including parenting. You have to make sure that you have yourself high standards, but that's only the first step. And the second step is that you have a peer group which are holding you accountable, or if not holding you accountable, showing you examples how to reach that high standard. I really believe that this is probably the ultimate lesson of personal development. If you remove this, I would be very surprised to see anyone succeeding without these principles.
Yeah, I think you made a very good point about if you don't have that environment, you have to create it. It's up to you to create that environment. And like you said, putting the right people around you, because you know there's that famous book that you want to look at someone, look at the 5 people closest to them, and you get an idea of the kind of mindset they have and so on. So surrounding yourself with surrounding yourself with the right kind of people is the first step into creating that environment for yourself.